Hello everyone, my name is Nokal, and I'm going to start making YouTube videos about Call of Dragons. On my account, I have 47 million merits in Season 3, and by the end of Season 3, I managed to unlock the 50 million merits achievement as a mage. So this YouTube channel is focused on mages, and I'll be making tutorials and guides for mage players. It'll mainly be for free-to-play low spenders, but the tips also apply to whales and krakens. I based this on the game's stats. I did a lot of calculations, and this is what seems to work best. It's what works best for me, and that's it. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the best mage pairings throughout the different seasons. Season 1 is going to be pretty straightforward, since there are only 3 mages you really need to focus on: Lilia, Thea, and Velen. These are the 3 heroes you should prioritize maxing out during Season 1. Then, in Season 2, you'll unlock Mu, who becomes your 4th core mage. So, across the first 3 seasons, your goal is to max Lilia, Thea, Velen, and Mu. As for the pairings, you'll want to run Lilia with Thea and Mu with Velen. This gives you 2 very balanced mage marches with great damage output and excellent survivability. I see a lot of players using Lilia with Velen and Mu with Thea, but the problem is that Mu and Thea become way too tanky compared to Lilia and Velen, making your marches very unbalanced. Instead, pairing Lilia with Thea works much better. Thea's expertise synergizes extremely well with Lilia, especially when you're using Celestials. Meanwhile, Mu and Velen provide outstanding damage while still maintaining great survivability thanks to Mu's support. Once you reach Season 3, you'll unlock Bertrand and Tohar. You can certainly unlock them and leave them at 5111 if you want to field a 3rd mage march during Season 3. However, I don't recommend fully investing in them. They require a huge amount of resources because both heroes really need to be maxed in order to perform well. More importantly, much stronger mage heroes become available in Season of Strife 1, so it's generally better to save your resources. When you enter Season of Strife, the first hero you'll want to unlock is Yunming. Yunming is incredibly strong, even at 5551. For his pairing, I recommend running him with Thelia. I know a lot of players pair Yunming with Gromara, but the issue is that Gromara really needs to be fully maxed. If you're a free-to-play player or a low spender, you simply can't afford to max every hero. That's why pairing Yunming with a 5551 Thalia is a much more efficient option. You can start Yunming at 5551 and then max him later as you get more resources. Once you have these 3 marches, you'll already have an extremely solid mage lineup. From there, you can start investing in the Generation 5 heroes, Vardun and Kantaman. I recommend getting Vardun to 5151 first, then fully maxing Kantaman, and finally finishing Vardun. Ultimately, both heroes should be maxed. However, if you don't want to invest that heavily into 2 maxed heroes, even though they're arguably the strongest mage march in the game, and you'd rather build a reliable 4th march without spending as many hero tokens, you can instead use Thunderlin and Magrath. Aim for Thunderlin at 5551 and Magrath at 5511. So why are these marches so good? Your first 2 Season of Strife mage marches, Lilia with Thea and Mu with Velen, are both extremely balanced. They deal excellent damage while also being very durable thanks to Thea's shields and Mu's healing. Then you have Yunming with Thalia, a march that's almost permanently buffed, giving you massive defensive stats and a huge attack boost, making it another incredibly durable legion, and insane DMG thanks to Yunming. Finally, you can either move into the Generation 5 heroes, simply because they're absolute monsters. They deal insane damage and apply a ton of powerful debuffs. Or, if you're looking for a more budget-friendly option, you can stick with Thunderlin and Magrath. They offer great survivability, plenty of healing, and remain a very reliable march without requiring nearly as much investment. And that's it for the best mage pairings progression. So now, let's take a look at the talent trees. We'll start with Lilia and Thea. The first and most important thing is that, for every legion, we want to have the same march speed. Personally, the benchmark I recommend is around 21 to 22% march speed. Why? Because you can easily reach 21% through the hero's talent trees. Also, when a hero already provides march speed through their skills, the maximum is usually 20%. For example, with Lilia and Thea, Thea's 3rd skill gives 20% march speed. So in the talent tree, there's no need to invest heavily into additional march speed. I like to grab an extra 2%, bringing the total to 22% instead of 20%. It's not absolutely necessary. You could simply invest those points into defense instead. But I personally prefer having those extra 2%. After that, we'll mainly focus on increasing skill damage. We'll pick up Synergy for the additional skill damage bonus. Other than that, it's a pretty standard talent tree. Next, let's talk about Mew and Velen. Just like before, Velen's 4th skill already provides 20% march speed, so there's no need to invest further into march speed. Again, I like taking an extra 2%, but it's optional. You could also spend those points on the 3 small defense nodes instead. Here, we're mainly focusing on rage generation and healing buffs. Overall, it's another fairly standard talent tree. The key difference is that we really prioritize rage gain, especially through these 2 talents. You could choose additional skill damage instead, but I personally prefer rage. That way, you cast your skills more often, which means more healing and much better survivability. Next, we have Yunming and Talia. Neither of these heroes provides march speed through their skills, so if we want all of our commanders to have the same movement speed, we need to reach 21% march speed through the talent tree. We'll take these 3 march speed nodes, then continue up here to grab the remaining 5. Yes, you lose a tiny bit of rage generation, but it's a very small trade-off. The extra march speed makes it much easier to control your legions, especially when dealing with the sand lizards. I'll make a separate video explaining that in more detail. The rest of the talent tree is pretty standard. We'll take the skill damage nodes here, rage generation here, and at this point you can choose HP bypass if you want. Personally, with Yunming, I prefer taking additional skill damage because Yunming already deals a huge amount of skill damage. We also take Synergy because with Talia and Yunming, you're constantly applying buffs every 2 seconds. That means you're almost permanently benefiting from the extra 10% skill damage from Synergy. Next is Varden and Kantaman. I haven't finished testing this pair yet, and there are still a lot of things I want to evaluate. However, I think this talent tree is already a very reliable option. Again, neither hero provides march speed, so we'll take 21% march speed from the talent tree by investing here and here. We'll also prioritize skill damage and rage generation. This time though, I recommend taking HP bypass. This legion deals a bit less skill damage, but applies a lot of debuffs, so I think HP bypass offers better value. That said, the difference compared to taking extra skill damage isn't huge. The advantage is that you also keep the bonuses to normal attack damage. Overall, it's another fairly straightforward talent tree. I also like picking up this talent for the additional penetration, and it allows me to grab the extra 1% damage against infantry, which is valuable since mage legions spend most of their time fighting infantry. Finally, we have Thunderlin and Magrath. Once again, neither hero provides march speed, so we'll reach 21% march speed through the talent tree. This talent tree is a little different. There's really no reason to fully complete the magic tree because there's nothing particularly valuable at the end. Also, Magrath doesn't rely on skill damage, so investing too much into it is overkill. Instead, we'll focus on increasing normal attack damage. We still take these skill damage talents because they are useful for Thunderlin, including the ones at the top of the tree. But overall, the priority is normal attack damage, march speed, and increased damage against infantry. So that's it for the talent trees. Of course, every legion should also be paired with the sand lizards. That's extremely important, but I'll cover that in a separate video. So that's everything for the talent trees. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. In this guide, I've covered what I believe are the strongest pairings throughout every season and throughout the entire game, as well as the best investment priorities. This isn't a video about the absolute top 5 pairings. Instead, it's about how, as a low spender or free-to-play player, you can quickly build 4 very strong mage legions for Season of Strife. Of course, I'll keep updating these guides as the game evolves. I'll also be making future videos about march speed and why it's so important for mage legions, as well as sand lizards, because they're absolutely essential. If you're playing mages, you should always use sand lizards. You shouldn't be using war beasts that are purely focused on DPS. That's a very important point. I'll also reveal the secret behind getting battle reports worth 530,000 merits, consistently hitting 200,000 merit reports, and how, as a low spender, you can outperform players who are much stronger than you. Before we wrap up, there's one key concept I want everyone to understand. A mage's damage, especially when using artifacts, is heavily based on the number of units remaining in the Legion. That means survivability is absolutely essential if you want to maximize your damage throughout the entire fight. I'll go into much more detail about all of this in future videos. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next guide. And most importantly, mages are life.